All right, welcome everybody. Doug here with the LincolnList.com. This is the Stock Market Weekly Review for the 7th of March. Hope all is well with you. We're going to talk about the market. We're going to talk about some stocks, and hopefully some of the mentions in here can help put a little bit of money into your pocket. And first I have to say about this market is if you like bullishness, I mean, I just like bullishness. Like if you like kissing and loving bullishness, if you like bathing in it or being showered in obsessive amounts of bullishness, you got to love this market since the bounce off of 180. It's just been relentless and grinding to the upside with like zero mercy. Now, if you're looking for a little bit of balance or a little bit of bearishness, this is an absolute nightmare, I would have to say right now. It's kind of like reversal of what we saw at the beginning of the year when it was constantly grinding down, and now you're constantly grinding up. So we'll see how this thing carries over. For me, I like to see a balance. You know, I like balance in a market where you've got a nice little bit of bullishness, a nice little bit of bearishness in there. When you get so lopsided to one side, to me, maybe you love it. I don't know. Far be it for me to judge anyone. But for me, it gets just a little bit annoying. So I kind of think this rally, you know, we're talking about something very, very impressive here. Off this double bottom down here in the daily chart, you've made it solid. I thought we might get to 200. If you listened to the video last week, I thought we might see that 200. Today on Friday, I thought, oh, we might see 202. We might go all the way up into the gap here from December's close of 203.58. We still might see that. Now, later in the session there on Friday, you started to see a sell-off, which was interesting because, like on social media, then all of a sudden everybody's calling the top after this little thick red. I mean, it's how hypnotizing. It's crazy because the same people that were all bullish in the morning instantly became bearish. You gotta love social media, right? I mean, it's crazy. It's like, oh, now you're calling the top. All right, whatever. But I'd like to see some balance here because I like to short parabolics. Maybe that's not your strategy, but I like big euphoric parabolic moves. Those provide me with the best kind of cash flow. And in this kind of market, you just really don't get that because any kind of parabolic gets bought up and is sort of orderly to the upside, if that makes sense for some of you new people that might be listening. Grindish, you know, it's sort of very orderly in its upward momentum. Now, if you're swing trading long or you like dip buying yourself as a strategy, this is a great market for you. I would have to think, though, after making such a strong move up here, now that you've hit the emotional 200, now that you're coming up into some of these levels of resistance where the market opened at the beginning of the year, that's where you got your first rejection here was 201.35, maybe a full gap fill to 203.72 if we see bullish. But I would have to think going into next week, you know, you'd see some sort of digestion period or some pullback. And I'm not saying we're going to crash all the way back down to 181, but maybe you get some kind of fading back into the VWAP or some of these moving averages down here around the 195s to 194s. Now, that's what I think. What I'll get might not be anything close to that. Heck, we might just rip to 205. What do I know? I kind of thought once we got above 195, there would be virtually no stopping. It would just be straight up 2 days in a row into 200. But it took actually 4 days, and every dip getting bought, as I said, very orderly. I was looking for a little bit more euphoria, but we haven't got that yet. So if you're bullish and you're thinking about upside targets, 205, you know, you could fill in this gap. You know, above 205, you'd have to look at 207, but I think there would be some challenges in that. Maybe slight pullbacks into the 10 moving average of 195.92, or maybe back into the 50 of 193. We'll see what happens at the beginning of the week. We'll just let it play out. As to whether or not, you know, if you're thinking now about getting long a bunch of names, you got to be very, very cautious here because you've had a monstrous move. We're going to talk about some of the stocks I'm personally looking at. One is SSYS. And this is up. Like one of the things, this market has lifted a lot of stocks. So just as in a couple of weeks ago, when everybody's out there in fear, and this is how usually stock market trading works. Nobody wants to buy stocks when they're cheap. You know, but now that they run up, everybody wants to chase them. That's how investors have been their whole life. That's why people lose money. So now, you know, 2-3 weeks ago when nobody was buying and the world was ending, that's when smart people were thinking about buying stocks, right? Not now. Not now after the market's already ripped this far. They're not thinking about it. So you now, the trader, if you want to be ahead of the game, now that the market's ripped so many percentage points, you need to be thinking about that next move. And that next move, in my opinion, is to the short side, because you've got a ton of these stocks that are up 80%, some 100%, some ridiculous movements out of stocks. And again, I'm not saying they're going to crash, but I think a lot of them need more than just a rest. They're going to need some profit taking as well. We're going to begin with SSYS. If you guys are familiar with this once was all the rage with DDD, 3D printers and all that. I mean, you know, it's a former hero, but these things have fallen on hard times for years. I'm not necessarily sure of what all of this mess is for. You know, their earnings weren't that good, and it just ripped off of a short squeeze, whatever it is. All I know is in the last few days, this stock is up 86%, which qualifies for me as something that needs your attention for shorting. It's not like a penny stock or something that has maybe a 500% possibility or a low float. You know, this is a stock right here that's 86%, something that needs to be shorted on any green in this cycle. Right now, if you were short off at 27, let's say you're swing trading, you can short off at 27.64. You got to pivot up over 30 where you've got significant resistance in this name right here. I'll draw the lines for you. Got significant resistance right up here. That's about where it got into, going back to November's highs. This is a good rejection zone, so if you want to manage risk, you can short any pop using the stop that's slightly above 30 there. I think a simple one-day retracement could get you down into the 24, so there's some pretty good room. Now, if you're day trading, I would look for, it's been a little bit difficult for a day trading stock because it does seem like it has range because it's on top side of range, you know, making these large dollar moves. But it doesn't have very many pullbacks or anything like it's like I've been saying. You're just getting small pullbacks. Today was a good fade off of the 29.66 and it's 27, so you know it's kind of like orderly fades here. But any kind of pop, I'd be looking at possibly shorting for a green to red move in a stock like this. It's got some room. I mean, a 5% retracement would be nothing on a stock that's up this much. The stock's up 86%. Just a 5% retracement would be nothing. So you don't need the thing to collapse back to zero. You don't need that. You just need just a little pull. That's what you're doing here. So I like SSYS. All of these could be said for the same. You know, this Joy doesn't look too bad either for a short. It's a little bit different. It's kind of like two-day pair. I mean, there is a little bit of a grind coming from the 22nd of January where it's just kind of been building up. Their earnings come out again. They lose money and their stock goes up. But kind of like SSYS, you know, it finally just goes beelining into some of the resistances back here in November. And that's where you finally see a little bit of rejection in this thing today, pulling back a little bit here. Same thing, you've got this one up about 64% in a couple of days. So this is definitely same strategy I think I would use here. Looking to short any pops. If you're a swing trader, you could, you know, short here and then control risk by putting it right above this pivot right here. 1890 or maybe the low 19s, but I like Joy for a short. Another one is BDC. This thing is a little different. This thing's had like 100,000 green days in a row. I mean, seriously, look at this thing. Since it bounced off of the bottom here, it's gone from 38 to 59, and there's maybe, that's all month, you know, since February, actually the beginning of February. So we're going an entire month. It's had maybe 2 red days, and they have been like, when I wouldn't even really call them red days. They were like a nickel each. They weren't even double-digit red days. And this thing has just gone non-stop every single day. Look, I even got this trend line drawn. It's been days since it's even broke trend. It finally did late in the session on Friday. But man, what a bullish stock. Another one here that you're looking at that's up 57, 58% or something like that. You got to be looking at this. You're very, very close to some high resistance levels of 64. It may seem like it's a little bit far away, but this thing goes up $1 every day. It's kind of like DEC, where it's just like, do you even do red days? I'm not sure. The question here is the volatility might not be in here for a day trader. This might be something that aids more to a swing, because I don't know if necessarily you got the full kind of volatility. I would expect that because it grinds up when it comes back down, it's going to spend several days. And if you're a day trader, you know, you don't necessarily want to wait several days. You just only want minutes. But keep BDC up on the list. Last, I'll throw in WDAY. It actually went red on Friday. which was finally a good break in this cycle. This thing was up a good 50% as well, since this 47 pivot. It actually broke the resistance right here of 73.82. She'd be looking for a little bit of follow through. I certainly, by any means, would not short any stock in the hole. And in the hole, I mean by any pullbacks. You get 2 or 3 red bars, don't short it. Right now, people are still all up in the biz about buying dips. And if you short after 2 or 3 red bars, or you wait for a signal like that, then you're just going to get smoked. That's what people keep doing, and that's why the market keeps going up a lot of times, because they'll just shorten the hole and they get squeezed and then they cover, which means they're buying the stock again, and everything starts ripping. You don't want to be that trader. That's not where you want to be. So look for some of these. I think I'm just giving you a few, but you can go through this. You can go through any kind of scanning software right now, or cruise any social media board. You're going to find at least 50 stocks that have 50% gains or more. I mean, I'm not even talking about Edit and a bunch of other stocks, DNR, those. I mean, you've got a plenty. Cuervo, QRVO. You got so many stocks that are up a lot, And granted, you've had an incredible rally. But you need to have some sort of a plan here that the day will come when they will be sold. And that's not up to me to predict what day that's going to be. It's my job to be ready when that day comes. Just like when the bounce was there, being ready for that. Now that it's long in the tooth here, you need to be thinking a step ahead of everyone else and thinking about, okay, when the market does have this moment, what's my plan? What's my strategy going to be? And I think right now is an excellent opportunity. When you're looking at so many stocks that are up 50 to 100%, you got to be building a short basket. And if you hate shorting and you don't like shorting and you think shorting is evil and disgusting, then you need to sell your longs that are up 50% because you're on borrowed time, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We're going to find out. But anyway, there's a few stocks that will help you get started for the beginning of the week. As I said, there are numerous kinds. If you're sitting here right now and you're thinking, how do I make that next step? How do I become that versatile trader? How do you go from bullish to bearish to bullish, not be so one-sided or a one-trick pony, like they say. You got to be versatile in today's markets. So if you're looking for that, visit our live trade room. Every trade's made live on screen. And it's not just live on screen. Everything is announced. It's like Lincoln radio all day long. You're listening to me talk. That might be annoying for some people, but I think it helps overall in the thought process of the way traders approach the market, how we look at things, how we adjust, because a lot of the times we're wrong in what we think. Professional traders are no different than amateurs in the fact that we're wrong too. We make wrong assumptions and we do things wrong as well. The difference being is we're willing to admit that quicker and take losses or cut losses and accept those mistakes early. Like I said, these are my thoughts and feelings about how I feel the market. I feel it's due for a pullback. I feel it's due for a nice couple selling. I feel there's a lot of great stocks out there to short. But that might not be the case, right? That might not happen. Hell, we may go up every day again next week, So I have to have a plan for that too, because that might be a reality. Even though I'm thinking this might happen, something else might happen, and that's what every trader has to go through. You have to be okay with saying, all right, I was wrong on that. I'll just have to go to plan B or plan C. You have to have a plan for all of it. So if you're struggling with that, visit thelincolnlist.com. If not, thanks for listening to me rant here a little bit, and I will talk to you later. Have a good week of trading. Take care of yourself.